Here's your host, Alex Garrett.
We've been talking about small businesses on One Leg Up because I believe in talking to CEOs and those in the industry who have gotten one leg up in whatever field they might have. And Benjamin Brown comes in, and he's my next guest. Thanks for joining me, Ben.
Welcome. Glad to be here, sir.
Ben comes in and says, okay, now you have the one leg up. Now, how do we sell your business and make it profitable, right? That's kind of where I want to start with you tonight.
Absolutely. You take it away, Alex.
So tell us how, someone's established, right? And now they want to start selling what they've created. How do you come in and support? I know you've been an entrepreneur for many years now, right?
Well, the main thing I teach and what we want to go through is like the simple steps people can generate or start working or understanding sales in a simple manner in this call. So it makes it simple for people to understand that sales is simple, but it's not easy. And where the not easy come in is the work that you need, because sales is a skill. It is its own skill that you can actually elevate your business, or you can just use that skill to make your own employment or your own career in life, really.
So let's say there's someone that's actually gotten investors already to help them build the business. Do you recommend going back to those investors and say, okay, well, how do you help me grow it now? Or do you look for new leads?
Well, when it comes to leads, you're talking about investors. Everything in life is a sale, pretty much. Even when you're a child asked to get picked up by your parents, you're selling them, you're closing them, right? You're trying to get them to move. And so when you're working with investors, you're pitching your products, you're at seminars, or you're doing shows, everything around your business is pretty much sales. And that's where HR and accounting covers the other things on the back end. But most businesses are run purely by sales, and a lot of people don't have the knowledge, but they do a lot of marketing and they're able to get by.
Well, now, how small of a business does it have to be? Like, do you have to have people that you hire to help sell it, or can you sell it yourself as an entrepreneur?
Well, the main thing is that when you get more into sales, it's hard or difficult to hire salespeople if you don't know sales. So one thing a salesperson can do is get a job. Doesn't mean they'll be able to sell your product. So that's why you have a lot of businesses that have turnover or high turnover, which is very costly time-wise and money-wise when it comes to small businesses.
And so how do you come in, Benjamin, and help them save money and time, if you will?
Well, mainly I analyze the business. There's many facets in sales when it comes to businesses, from the technical side to your performance on sales, to demeanor, to your process, right? What is your sales process is what I teach. When somebody comes into your company, walks in your door, sends you an email, calls you, what do you do and what do you say and how do you process that information is your sales process. And it should be repeatable, where you can walk away and it can run on its own, or you can hire somebody and train them on your process and move on to other things in your company. And that's what pure growth is about when it comes to growing your own independent company.
I've kind of booked you because also, this is a podcast. So I want to know how podcasters can make this a monetized, not just a hobby, but something you actually make a living at. How do you help podcasters as well?
Well, when podcasters go in, it's generally based on what you want to accomplish. What is your product or service in the beginning? Because some people are just informative when it comes to podcasts. Some of them want to actually make money on it. So there's many ways to do that. Main thing is the communication with how you want to do that, face-to-face, person-to-person, or email to email. And the same thing is how you present that. What is your process for getting people to actually work with you and actually sometimes pay you, right?
Right. Well, as an affiliate marketer, I try and find that groove, and that's very difficult. The affiliate marketing is something that's popular, but is it successful, Ben?
I'm not done affiliate marketing when it comes to that. Main thing when you're dealing with affiliate marketing, it's kind of like referrals. You're asking somebody, you're selling somebody else's product, taking a percentage. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. And then it's tough to even get them to buy e-commerce. So there's just a lot. And that's why I always think of the handshake deal. And that's right. We got to work on closing the deal or getting the handshake deal to begin with. So let's say there's a business owner who is established, but they've not gotten the handshake deal yet. Where do you come in and say, okay, I'm going to help you get that handshake deal you're looking for?
Sales is about performance. So we understand how are you going to communicate with that person. In my book, Master the Art of Closing the Sale, I have 10 steps that you need to go through to get a sale. Not all businesses need all 10, but every sale has 10 steps. So mainly educating yourself on what that process is initially will help you in your communication skills convert whatever you want to convert. It's the same thing if you're married, if you had children, it's the same type of deal. You're getting someone to move, right? You're not do it through coercion or you're trying to rip them off, because most people have sales as a negative connotation. It's to get them to move, to help them with something that's beneficial for you and also them. Make sense?
Yeah, Ben, it does make sense. Sorry for the delay. It does make sense. And, I want to talk about leads because we often talk about leads in sales and even just as a podcast, podcast booking, right? There's a lead to possibly get a guest on the podcast. And how do we make a cold lead come alive? And anybody listening to this might want to know that because maybe they're nervous or they don't know how to do that to make that cold lead come alive.
You said nervous and you said that. So sales, 80% of sales is confidence. So when working with a client, most of the time I have to get their confidence up to understand the rejection that you have to go through if you're going to go through a sales process. And most people are not willing to take rejection. So that's why they're afraid of sales, because it's just part of the process that you're doing. It's a numbers game. So in the beginning, step number one from the book is getting prepared. And most people, when you say anxious or whatever, that means you're not prepared. And that means you're not going to show up 100% with your product or service. You still might get the sale, but when you calm those down, you become very confident in your product and confident in your process. That goes away, and that gives you ability to make more calls and make more sales.
All right, let me ask you this because I've been learning today. So, for instance, I was trying to work with someone on the ground level, and I'm trying to get to this gala for New York City, and I interviewed the executive director of the company, and I went right to the executive director. Going right to the top is not always easy, but is that effective when you go right to the top instead of trying to deal with the middleman?
Absolutely. That's called connecting and relating, and make sure you're talking to the person that's qualified, and who better to do that than make the decision is the CEO. So by doing that, kudos to you. And that's where a lot of people started their career, is by not being afraid to go directly to the top, the decision maker, to do it. So good job.
But for those that feel held back, oh, I can't deal with the ones in the ivory tower, if you will. How do we remove that? I know you kind of talk about it, but this is dealing with more than just making the sale. This is now making that connection with the higher up. How do we calm our nerves and do that from your perspective, Ben?
Well, I give you an analogy. There's what we call dating coaches, right? People that you want to go out and you want to go out and do approaches to people in real life. It's the same type of deal. Your fear. I mean, it's no such thing. It's just humans. I tell people it's just another person. They go through the same things you do, no matter whether they have money, not money, Lambos, boats, jets. They're still really people. And when you meet higher up people on a regular basis, you realize they're the same, just like you. They have fears. They have all of these different things. They've just been a little bit more successful in what they've done. So, once you start to understand that, you can actually communicate with anyone and don't have that fear to do it. So, main thing is teaching people that, because most people don't understand what that is.
Ben, you've been doing this for 20 years. Where do people stumble the most that maybe went into your writing of this book?
They start because they assume. The first rule in sales is never assume anything. And so they think they have a great personality, which means they can sell, which is good, but you still need to have a process. So you don't assume. It's all ruled out by questions. So the difference between a good and a great salesperson is the number of questions that you ask. So if you can ask good, effective questions, that is the beginning stages of learning what's to become a good salesperson.
Have you found those who started a business so frustrated that I have to not only market my product, but now I've got to go out and sell it? I mean, it can get frustrating to be both roles, can it?
Well, the main thing I work with individuals, the concept that I deal with them is that you have to like or love the product that you're doing. If you don't like it, love it, leave it. Because you're going to have to go through the hard times with it. It's like marriage or anything else. It's not going to be easy. So if you don't like or love the product that you're representing, it comes through in your voice, your message, and how you promote yourself. So, if I gave you, snap my finger and gave you, hey, here's the cure for cancer and it works 100%, you would go out and scream it all day. You wouldn't care who turned you down because it's something that everybody needs and it's a valuable thing. So where on the scale is your product, right? You should be able to walk out every day and say, hey, I have this product. Hey, I have this product. It's the same kind of deal. But most people don't understand that concept. They think that I build it and people will come. You have to be more proactive. And that's the way it used to be. And that's the way it is. Sales hasn't changed since the dawn of time. The only thing that's changed is the tools that we have now. When I started, we didn't have computers. We didn't have cell phones. So, you know, I had to tell him my age. So you had to get on a regular phone. You had to call people and all that kind of deal. And then computers came in. We didn't like computers. It slowed us down because we wanted to connect, keep talking to people. Now you can barely talk to a regular person, right? You have to go through messaging and all this kind of. So imagine if you can cut through that and just get directly to your client one on one, what advantage you would have rather than trying to use all these other tools trying to reach your potential client.
Now I'm kind of talking here as a content creator. So I'm thinking I'm a creator, but I also want to keep growing my content while trying to market it. And do you find people have a struggle being that creator and marketing it? Maybe I'm asking the same question again, but yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on that? Being the creator, but also marketing your creation and building it.
You're talking based on around marketing. So when it comes to the distinction, I want to educate people on this. Is it a difference between marketing and selling? Marketing and content creation is giving people the observation that you're there. And then when they start to reach out to you, like your sponsors or something like that, is when it actually comes into your sales process. So it's two different things. So content creating is about, doing that, making observations where people will do something like you or click you, right? Marketing is the same thing. It lets people aware, but then when it starts asking them to do something like click on this, go here, call this number, is when it starts going into sales. So it's two different things.
All right. Let's say maybe someone has tried to sell their product and they maybe got a client to buy it, but then they lost that client. And does that discourage people when they lose someone and they're not really ready to go after that next one because they're afraid? I guess that happens too, right? When people lose a client, they're often, all right, well, I got to do it all over again. And how do you get them through that?
Well, your confidence, understanding that you're not going to be 100%. I've done that where I've actually had the same situation done. But the step number 10 in the book, Master the Art of Closing a Sale, is to generate not the sale, but a referral or testimonial. So I've actually went through a couple of times, sold someone, got 2 referrals. 2 weeks later, they wanted to return the product, which was fine. But the 2 referrals they gave me, I sold them without even any marketing. So just by asking for referrals, give you ability to generate more through your business and understanding that happens and your customer service. So he actually gave me a testimonial, had no problem returning the product because he gave me twice what he gave me. He gave me 2 more deals. I lost one, but generated 2. So the process will set you free. So you don't worry about those type of deals when you're in business.
Well, I was going to say, how do you ease your clients' worry then that, hey, I'm going to go out there and help you sell this? How do you ease their worry so they can focus on being the brains behind the operation, if you will?
Well, if you're in business, you're in sales. So either you hire somebody to do it or you learn to do it yourself. There is no, just standing back. There's always a sale going on in businesses. There's a sales team background, that type of deal to move the product. So to have somebody just sit back and just have it go automatic, that's what sales funnels and all these kind of things that came about the last 5-10 years, which work great. That's awesome. It does work. But if you're ever going to get face to face or on the phone or something direct with your customer, you need to know the language of sales so you can convert them as well.
Now we talk about middleman. You are actually the big man at 360 Sales Consultants. You're the principal there. So at 360 Sales Consulting, when a client comes to you, do they deal with you directly, or do you have those? Maybe if you're on one case, so you have employees that help out in the firm as well.
No, I rather have one-on-one right now. I rather deal with them because sale is it's an action item. So role playing is the key. So I can give you a book on sales. You could read it. Doesn't mean you're going to be a good salesperson. So it's an action item, which means that we will role play. We go through a number of sessions. It's just like learning how to weld or learn how to be a carpenter. You have to go through a small apprenticeship to understand. So that way you don't practice on clients, because clients are not going to give you any feedback. Potential clients, right? Because you'll probably mess it up. But potential clients are not going to grade you on your performance when you go out there. You need somebody to give you feedback. That's why you have sales managers or a sales team, right? Or when you go into a company, they train you for 2 or 3 weeks before they put you on the phone or move out to start dealing with customers, because you don't want to burn good leads with bad performance. Make sense?
It does. And I want to ask you about maintaining, because I've been in radio for 11 years and I've worked closely with the sales department here in radio, because we kind of work side by side with production and sales. We kind of get to know each other's world. So tell me about when you have a lineage client, right? When you have a client that's been there forever, how do those businesses keep that client happy 20, 30 plus years later? And maybe those just starting up now will have a client 30 years from now.
You saying, how do you keep them happy?
Yeah, how do you keep them happy? How do you keep them engaged and a long time, client of yours?
Well, the main thing is keep them in the loop based upon the performance of what you're doing, the outline. You make them generational partners, and then also make sure that every couple of months you're going back to them, checking on it, and also asking for referrals, right? So the main thing, if they're along with you, they know, because they're your target market. Your best customer is the one you just sold, right? So that is your demographics normally, and they know people within that demographics to keep moving, and you keep them happy in a database and a newsletter and all these kind of things to keep them close to you. So when things change, you might have a product along the lines of the same one that you come up with years later that might align with them. They already know you, and in normal times, you already have the credit card. So it's easier to sell them on something new.
I want to ask you about the technology, because you just clicked something in my brain. Oftentimes people would be in the classifieds trying to sell their business. Now it's so easy online, and the adaptation that maybe you as someone that takes in these businesses who are trying to sell, is it a game changer? And how do you utilize technology to your advantage, Ben, to get the clients the business they want?
Main thing is the database. What technology are you using to effectively go from one call to another and follow up? Right. So, most people will go through these behemoth type sales programs, Salesforce, or, these big, huge programs that you'll buy with, your company is only 30 or 40 people, but you're buying Salesforce, which is normally to handle 10,000 employees, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Right. So get a program, not a spreadsheet, that you can work on. There's a lot of ones out there you can use with your phone app, so you can be organized and structured. The main thing about technology is being able to be organized database wise, knowing who you talked to last time you talked to them, what was their deals. If somebody has to take over the call, they can go into that database. They can step right where you left off of and keep moving, and everything is one concise, complete place. Alex, the most important thing I tell businesses, your database is your bank. So if in your company you had all these different resources, your bank is your database. Anytime you need more money, you should be able to go into your database and pull out referrals, testimonials, new products. You're in affiliate marketing, right? So you
Yeah,
come out with another product, go back through the same database that you just sold, offer them a new product, and just keep moving. And that's how business is being done.
Do you feel like you are a PR person for the businesses you work for, or do you let them do the imagery or the PR work, if you will?
What did you say again? Ask that one more time.
Do you feel like you are public relations as well when you try and get your client business, or do you let them be their own public relations? Or,
No, they deal with that. PR is just PR. That's a whole different thing. Well, sales is grunt work, down to the ground, bottom of the company, hard work. PR is just putting a brand, getting your brand, moving your name, things of that nature. It's not really in sales, so it's totally different when you come to that.
tell me about if some of your businesses work door to door, or have they evolved from just the door to door nature of knocking and saying, "Hey, buy my product." What approaches do you find that your businesses take to sell their business?
Well, it can be varied, but most of the time you're talking about putting together an email, phone calls, incoming calls, outgoing calls, Zoom calls, all these different type of deals that you're talking about to generate. The closer you get to your client, the better off you are with your performance of sales. Most people want to sell at a distance from an email. Many clients I don't even know, I'm like, you got the email, get them on the phone. They're trying to sell through an email. You don't know the type of demeanor, if they're having a good day, bad day. You feel that on the phone. So my deal is try to get them on the phone, bring them closer to you, and then close them. I mean, most of your competition is doing the same thing. So by you changing up and being more personable, you're more beneficial to get the deal.
All right, I have a feeling you went from corporate America to your own business. Is that about right? So were you frustrated with the way sales was in corporate America? So you said, "All right, I'm going to do this on my own and help businesses um, sort of reinvent their sales way, if you will, way of selling their business."
Well, what I did is over 20 years take the best of what I've learned to actually comprise my own sales process that's digestible for individual using analogies in their own life, music, dating, whatever, to make them understand. Because when you learn the process, you're doing it in the background of your mind as you're talking. So it's a train type skill. So as you do it, you're actually judging yourself at the same time. So you're slowing everything down. So it takes a while for me to get that into people's perspective to understand that's what it takes to sell. And once you're able to do that, you're actually grading yourself. You become a better salesperson, and also you become a better communicator in life.
And I know communication is key. And do you find that funny that someone can be the CEO and talk in front of a big group, but then they can't make their own sale? Isn't that kind of paradoxical, if you will?
One of the companies I work with is in that same type of deal, and trained them. They did well, and they still don't like talking to people outwardly. So you have introverts, but if I could take somebody who's an introvert, and if they stick to the sales process, they will do better than a person that has a great personality because they're system based. The other personality person will go way off and they'll use their personality and won't follow the system normally and have to come back to that to keep them straight. So I've dealt with both type of personas, and so both will work. Both will work in sales.
So basically, you have to love the product that you're working on enough to sell it,
Like or love it.
never work.
Like or love it. Because when I talk to you about my product, I got to have some type of enthusiasm in order to get through to you. If I tell you, hey, I got this car, it's just crap. And, it's like, it smells. And, do you really do you want to buy it?
No.
All right.
Let me ask you this. When a client, when you have someone that's trying to sell it and then, maybe they get the deal, but the money's not come in yet, getting that money collected is a big part of the sale. So do you teach that kind of confidence? Okay, well, now you got to ask them for the money if you have the deal in place.
That's step number 9. That's called price and terms. So if you got a problem collecting money, it's basically your problem. You haven't set it up properly where you don't have that issue. Your terms are wrong. So you need to make sure that you set the terms because people have various. You're the one who facilitates the product. You dictate how you get paid. So, for example, I work in the limo business. My company is a limo. One of my businesses is a limo service. You pay me all up front. I don't deal with anything on the back end. That's it. So if you can't do that, it's very rare. Only about 3% of the time I might do payments or something of that nature. But most of the time, you pay me up front. I don't deal with that type of issue, and I set that. Other people will work on. Get paid afterward or something. Mm-mm. So don't deal with that. So if you start seeing problems with that, you probably need to change your pricing terms.
Well, that's an interesting step to look at price in terms. Now, Ben, we're talking about Benjamin Brown, and I'm so glad to have you on today, Ben, to talk about all this because we just got through tax day, right? So some businesses might be feeling the pinch with taxes, and I know you probably don't deal with that part of it, but maybe there are a lot of discouraged entrepreneurs out there because they see their taxes and they see the hard work they're putting in their business. How do you soldier on after tax day, if you will, and keep selling your business no matter how much taxes you had to pay on it?
If you learn how to properly sell, it's an adrenaline rush because it's something that you do as a performance, like being a stand-up comedian. It's like doing something on Broadway, like a perfect play at a nighttime. I mean, that's what it really is. And that's why a lot of people love to do it. It's an addiction to get into sales. The money will come if you like or love what you do. The money will come, and so being persistent by that and understand it takes a little while. Everybody's sold on entrepreneurship for the last 10 years, but a lot of people don't know what it truly means.
Very true. All right, I got to ask you this because I feel like you probably deal with companies that want to be Fortune 500 overnight. Now, that's not going to happen for a small business right away, but do you find small businesses can become that Fortune 500 if they work hard enough at it?
Lightning in a bottle. Most of the time, people come from corporations or they come out of college and they handicap based upon how the real world really works when it comes to entrepreneurship. And so, to find that if you watch Shark Tank, you see all of those people, very few. I mean, it's just a lot of work and people don't understand
I got to
nowadays.
ask about Shark Tank. Are you screaming at the television when you see that? Why are you selling it this way?
I look at it. It is humorous to me. But they come out and the last couple of years they're better trained. They have a platform. They know what they're gonna say. See, those guys are really wanting money, so they come out. They know what they're going. They have a platform they're doing. They know the process. They know what they're gonna say. They add humor in there. They know their numbers, all these type of deals you have to do when you're going in there. So it's the same thing. You have to know your price points, your break points. Can you do a discount? All these different type of tools you could use in your sales process. So once you understand all of that and all the nuances of it, and then you add tonality in there, and then your pace, all these different deals. Like I would talk to somebody from New York differently than I would talk to in Texas. All these type of deals that you could do, it's a whole field within itself, and that's why there's some people at sales making more money than CEO.
All right, so let's talk about statistics because every company that wants to buy a product or invest in it wants to know the numbers. And so, do you work with your client to get the most accurate numbers, or do you leave that up to them when they're selling?
The accurate numbers, what does that mean?
Like
Elaborate.
the most accurate numbers of how much you've sold so far in your inventory, that type of thing. Would you
Oh
companies
yeah,
look for that?
you got to know where you are to know where you're going. And so being able to do that, one of the best companies I did, your stats were always on the wall for everyone to see. How many calls you made, what was your connect time, all of these things, because sales can be measured, marketing cannot. You can put $1 million into marketing. You can estimate how much money you're going to get back. In sales, you can tighten that up, knowing that your closing rate's 3%, 6%, it's going up to 9%. Everything is matched by numbers when it comes to sales. That's why I love it, because it's not fake. It's real. When I make people money, it's real money. It's not, I think we're going to make money. It's like, let's close more deals. If you have the potential of clients coming into your realm, all you have to do is sell them. So you have a process in place to do that. So it gets exciting to that point because it's a performance-based type skill.
All right, a lot of people just settle for the customer service job where they're right behind a desk with the headset turned on, but that's not as rewarding, is it, as an actual sales gig where you're actually selling a product? I mean, that doesn't seem as rewarding. What would you say to those that do that, and are they selling something real, or is that, what are your thoughts on that? Like, hey,
Most people come into their job doing their job, customer service, graphic design, accounting, bookkeeping, um, tech support. They come in. Sales is, especially if you're commission based, you come in every day having to prove or write your check every day. You're the only one that come into that building knowing that you have to perform. You can't come in and be at the coffee machine and hanging out and doing all that other stuff. Your job is to go out and sell. So that's why when you have these conferences or you have a Christmas party, you'll notice that the salespeople are normally back by the bar because they're very outgoing. They spend a lot of energy all day long because they have to. They cannot perform unless they're at their best. And so that's the difference between salespeople and everybody else at the company. They have to write their check normally, depending on how the pay is set up, right?
All right. So in your 20 years, has there ever been someone that made you proud, that became a salesman that made you proud?
Oh, every day. I have my nephew, I have my godson that I've taught who read the book and started utilizing the things that I taught. I was there when he was born. My son, who is 9, I teach my children when I go up, ask questions. What can I get something for less? I start teaching my children from a younger age what sales is about. And I always teach them the price is never the price. You can always negotiate everything. Everything's negotiable. So once you realize that, you realize that you can control a little bit more of your life by learning the skill of sales. Always talk to people, never be inwardly. So those are the things that I do. So my family, my nephew, my godson, and my children, just taking some of the things they see that I do when I'm out or something like that. We'll go to a market. They'll see that I'll ask for a better price. They'll do so they're able to negotiate. So it's trainable to children as well.
The art of selling, and I feel like it could actually be the way of life, right? So if you make a right sale, it'll actually help you advocate yourself in the medical when you're at a doctor's office. I mean, it's all relatable. That confidence that you get from becoming a salesperson can trickle down to other parts of your life, can't it?
Absolutely. When your marriage ends, it means that you stop selling. So there you go.
And I just think of it, as someone who might want to sell this podcast more and get more people on board with it, in my health stuff too, to be personal here, uh, advocate for what's right in the doctor's office. I feel like it's interrelated there.
Yeah, you have to know where you're going. Main thing about sales is being able to know exactly where you're going before they do, and then being able to ask questions that will open them up based upon what they need, want, or will use. And that's one of the key points, over the overlay of the sales process. It gets more detailed than that, but that's pretty much the gist of it.
All right, in your 20 years, did anybody surprise you? Like that was the introvert that became the extrovert?
Yeah, I worked with one client one time that started and they just refused. They would just like, and I had to, you know, build the confidence up for weeks for them to finally get on the phone. And we always marked down how much progression they made. And in 2.5 months, they generated an extra $178,000 through that time. Shocking, because they were doing a regular job, but they wasn't selling. Talking at somebody and selling is two different things.
I feel like this generation is sort of like I hate to say give me generation, but they kind of know how to fight for their worth. And do you find that in this generation as well, that they're sort of asking for what they want more than maybe before?
I haven't checked in fully on this generation that's coming out now. I see what we see, but they're surrounded by the easier things in life. And so back in the days, people used to go door to door. Sales was hard. Now people think that they become, you know, uh, instead of firemen, they want to be, they want to be YouTubers and all this type of deal. Which each generation have those type of deals, but they see a lot of success. I mean, all the time. Everybody just puts their best foot forward, and that's not really what life is about. And so a lot of these children are going to have to face life, and everybody cannot be successful. And so In the next 5, 10 years, you're going to see a lot of people that's going to realize, hey, I've been sold the wrong thing, because social media actually tells you everything's okay, everybody's doing good, everybody's making money and all this kind of stuff. And that's not really what's going on.
All right. In your 20 years, there were two catastrophes I could think of financially that, probably changed your perspective on selling. I don't know. But the 07, 08 crash and then the pandemic, did those things change your style of selling or whatnot, or teach a different way?
No, not really, because I try to keep it simple. You don't change. It's just structure. And knowing that structure got me through the pandemic. It got me through everything else. So the main thing is, you keep trying to change or try to acclimate towards something. Most businesses that come to me and say, I don't know if you can work with us because we do this. And I'm like, I don't care what you do. I don't care what you're selling. We're doing the same thing, because I'm gonna have to take the person who has an IQ of 50 or a person IQ of 130 and teach them all the same way. That's the way you want it. Keep it simple, stupid. Make sense?
It does. And I'm glad that you are not having a middleman when you deal with the 360 sales consultant. It's just you, which is great, because I think people need that. And it seems like you give them that reassurance when they talk to you directly.
That's what you need. When you deal with a coach, it's not like theory. You got to have somebody that gives you the introspective on a regular basis to guide you through the hard times of knowledge of trying to transcend into something new.
When they first try and sell their business, at what, how much would you say they have to have in the bank, if you will, monetarily, before they start increasing that bank?
Oh, that varies. Wow. It depends on what you're doing. There's so many answers I can give to that, depending on what type of it. I mean, you could start off affiliate marketing. You could start off with that maybe around $2,000. A trucking business, which I started last year, you need 80, 90, at least $100,000 in capital just to ensure all the stuff and everything you have to do. So that varies depending on what you're doing.
Well, I think for those in the media world, whether it be print or podcast, it's all about the numbers of how many people are listening and how many circulations you got. I mean, those play a role, and those can be daunting, but it's not insurmountable, is how I feel about it when it comes to media.
What is your question, Alex?
I guess my question is, if you're in the media, do you find that it'd be a challenge selling it more, or less of a challenge because you've got already something you can listen to or you can watch?
The key is in life, and it goes back to the 80s. There's no such thing as bad publicity. So if you're in the media, that is a great thing. And if you didn't pay for that, that is a great thing.
Very interesting. Well, this has been great, and I hope small businesses can come to you, because I'm sure that, as we go, I saw that there were a whole bunch of applications in February and March. Do you follow that? How many people are applying for that small business, application? Are you following those trends at all?
Yes, yes. Everybody's jumping ship thinking that they can get into the field of small business. Good for them, but be very wary is what I say.
Well, I think that's where you come in, because then they're applying, they get approved, boom, they go to Ben Brown, and you can help sell their business after they're approved, right?
Yeah, something to that sort. I can see something like that. Yes.
Well, I'm glad we had you on, and I hope that those who are small business owners that maybe are afraid to launch, don't be afraid. Just go for it. And hey, Ben Brown is there for you as well at meetwithbenjamin.com. Thanks for your time tonight, Ben, and I look forward to talking with you again.
Absolutely. What is the one thing that you learned in this conversation tonight?
Not to be afraid, and to have the confidence to just go up to someone and say, hey, this is my podcast, One Leg Up with Alex Garrett, and here's why you should invest today.
Absolutely. Go out there. If you like it or love it, sell it.